Jules at B Racing just sent me, well, his new flasher and a tune for this car, actually for this setup. Ignore the background, I know it's pretty sick. Hello YouTube. So I'm late again. I don't do this full time. I just work on the car gradually, record as I go, and then eventually I have enough clips to make a video. I apologize to you guys. But you'll see today, the car does start. And I think the engine's good. You don't really know till it like hits boost for the first time and like drives more than a mile or something like that. But it's kind of exciting. Red car hasn't ran in 3 years. Well, I need to tack on my fully welded wastegate relocation pipe. I do need to do that now because I have to pull this engine again. I just had put it in. I haven't pulled it and put it in a bunch of times yet. But I need to pull it so I can fully weld on the pipe to this down here with a good weld, because I'm not going to really be able to do it in the car very well. Also, I got to take the valve cover back off because I forgot. It's embarrassing. I forgot to put that little cam tray or the cam tray cover on the intake side. And also, I don't have one anywhere, so I bought a brand new one. 20 bucks, by the way, not too bad. Versus the brittle 20-year-old ones, not too bad. And also, another thing, that rod bearing that I showed you guys, I reused the rod bolts. I'm sure it'd be okay, but there's a chance that it's not, so I'm gonna put new rod bolts in that. So I do need to pull this engine out, and the next time it goes in, it should be like officially in for however long this stock thing will even last. So, but we made a lot of progress on this whole custom crap to get this engine to sit at this weird angle. It's still at an angle, but not as much. Yeah, yanked it out. Didn't take long, obviously. Nothing's hooked up other than the transmission had 2 bolts holding it on. This is what I'm talking about here. This is where my wastegate's gonna sit, right down in here. And in the car, man, I mean, maybe it wouldn't have been good, because first of all, I'm not really good at welding, and then it being in the car would have been even harder. But now I can weld this out of the car back here, and I can actually get under it and weld in this. Don't forget that. Also, reminder how ugly this engine is. Just to show as proof, 2 brand new rod bolts installed, torqued, and then the sketchy freaking 70-degree deal that you still have to eyeball. Well, I have all the crap done. I'm gonna go ahead and put the clutch on. Guess what we're using? We're using I don't know how many miles or how old this puppy is. It's an OG. It's been resurfaced before. Well, we're just gonna go ahead and use another Clutch Max. You always see me install on this channel, except this one's very, very used. This is for a ZF 5-speed. Apparently flywheel don't matter. Not really sure yet. I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter though. But this is for the 420G, has the bigger spline and shaft. So we'll put that on there. I do need to find the pressure plate. I think I have 2 of them. One of them is spanked and one of them is maybe has another use in it. But yeah, we're going super cheap on this. This isn't a built engine. It's just to get us moving towards the right direction and get the car testing. I know it's probably not ideal, but no reason to ball out and spend whatever thousands of dollars on a nice clutch when we're just gonna have a stock engine that's probably gonna blow up. I found the pressure plate, and yeah, so this one's only been used 1 other time, so we're gonna be good. Obviously I need a $1,000 clutch or whatever, but this will get us through. Engine is back in the car, and I didn't really think about like how much different it is dropping it in here with the radiator support bumper and everything on here. Once you put the flywheel and clutch on, I mean, it barely fit. It was riding this clip all the way down, and I think it might have broke off one of these little tabs here. Yeah, that one's broke now too. But it's in. Car's clapped. A little broken plastic. Don't care. Before I fully bolt down these engine mounts here, I will be putting this transmission in. That way this engine can lean back to help me do so. I'm not going to tighten those down to fight that. It's really tight fit. regardless of what you use. But I need to get that transmission in the car. Bolted on this 420G. I have that Clutch Max clutch and flywheel in there that I showed you guys. One thing that set me back was I was not thinking. I needed an M3 throwout bearing. For some reason, I didn't think about that. And then another thing, unfortunate, yeah, this was brand new when I parked the car, but I can't find a brand on it. Honestly, I probably got this at a parts store. Well, the cylinder inside of it is completely locked up. It would not decompress. So now I got a BMW one on there. Look how pretty it is. Yeah. Hey, it works, and I had it here and it's free. So I did have to use an engine hoist to lift the front of the car up, the engine up, to get this to sit down back far enough to get the transmission on, because the angle of the engine, I wasn't able to just tilt the engine a little bit back and put it on. I had to use a hoist and really lift the front of the engine up. But that is on. I'm going to go ahead and tighten the rest of these transmission bolts up. All right, so I'm working on really boring stuff. I put a radiator in this car because I stole that off of this car while it was abandoned and used it in something else. Same with the expansion tank and everything. So I'm putting all this together, and I also did some other boring stuff. Like, I have my reservoir down here that used to be bolted to the stock engine mount, but I end up having to tack weld this stainless bracket down here to it, which is fine. It's solid, and I don't like it up here because once you run the PPF manifold, it's like really in the way, and down there it's out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, it's kind of hard to check your fluid and stuff, but if you ever look at the M3s, they're kind of like this. So I use M3 hoses on it actually to make that happen. But I ran into a small issue here. When I go to put my upper radiator hose on, you can see, and then if I force it to line up like this, yeah, we ain't doing that. So that is because this engine is tilted up towards the driver's side more, and this isn't down here anymore around this area. So now it looks way too long. These are things that seem obvious, but you don't really think about these little things until you get to them. Now the next thing is going to be my lower radiator hose, how far it's apart now compared to factory. And if you guys know, on all my turbo videos for your coolant lines, by the way, these are the same coolant lines I use on everything. The best, easy, you can move them wherever you need them to be, flexible and durable. That's been tested. I finally made this happen. She's a hair kinked, but honestly, this already had a kind of hard bend like that, so it worked. Thank God. And then new lower radiator hose. All I did was cut it and put my fitting in here. That will be right next to my coolant lines. I gotta get new clamps because the clamps that come with them are terrible. And then I gotta get a temp sensor. Now I'm not sure how this is gonna happen right here. There's a ton of room here. I don't even know if there's gonna be a place in this video for this, but this is my CX Racing, the OG intercooler pipe. I'm gonna try using it, but this turbo sits a lot further back than the CX Racing one did. Well, the manifold and everything, it just goes back further. So I welded a 90. I'm not gonna show much of that. You can already see the black, but yeah, there it is, roast me. Welded a 90 on it so that I can just use a straight coupling here. Unfortunately, there is still a little bit of a gap. I gotta see what couplings I have here, because I may have to extend this off or weld an extension to that 90. Not too sure what I'm gonna do there yet. Another thing here, I don't know where this is gonna go in the video either, but this is the Vibrant 7/8 hose. I showed in a couple of my videos how I do this, like my M52 and an E46 conversion video. You gotta run off of this back fitting on the back of the head, this fitting here on the pipe, and steal some BMW connectors for the end. So, well, just for one, that goes to wherever that is, the bottom down here of your expansion tank. And then the other one doesn't need a connector. It actually goes right down there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Ignore this wiring harness. Oh, it's atrocious. but it worked. It worked last time this car ran. This hose is like $50 or $60. It is considered a Cummins drain, but it had an AN on the end, so I liked that. It's a massive AN though for the size of the hole in it. But it didn't fit, and then I already had put it in a vise and started doing some hackery to it, so I was like, well, I can't return this now. So I cut it in half, and it was a 90 out of the turbo, so I cut it into a 45 and then rotated it a hair this way, and then I welded it. Luckily, I didn't know, but it's steel, so I was able to do what I wanted with it. Trying to see it in there. But it clears everything. And then that'll just be my rotation. My drain's down there. Went ahead and ordered an adapter for this dash 12 to 5/8 hose so I could finish out my drain. This is the same blue hose, 5/8 hose that I use on the bottom mount cars. It's really good stuff. That way this all is flexible. I just did not want to put that next to this collector here where it would melt. I wanted to have a stainless braided blind there, so that really worked out. I just put this beauty together here. Way too nice for this clapped out Hellrot car, but I don't really know what I'm doing at this point anyways. I got all these parts from B Racing Tuning, and Jules supplies his injectors with top spacers and bottom spacers, and the spacers with the clips, so you can use the factory clips. But obviously it depends on what intake manifold you're running and stuff like that. I will probably still have to run some type of spacer on my brackets. I'm not really sure yet until I install it onto the PPF. But this is the new Performance fuel rail. It's really cool. I'll go show you guys the old one. It looks like they just knocked off a ton of material on this new one and made a lot slicker, simpler design. I can go show you that. I have one on my blue car. Now, I'm not really sure about what fittings I'm gonna run on the ends. One's gonna be a plug, obviously, and I need to steal my sensor off of my blue car fuel rail because I don't use my fuel pressure sensor on the blue car. I just have it in there as a plug right now. I did use it on the red car though. So here's my two-door, obviously, and I have the old nuke rail on here, which I love it. I've been running this. This actually came off of the red car when I used to run it. And you can tell it's a little different. One thing I do miss is they had these really cool fuel rail brackets that had the PPF engraved in them. I had to order a plug for the front here, really clean. You can barely even see it, it's kind of crazy. And then my feed to my rail will be back here. Just to show a few extra things here for people who are curious. I plugged this, usually I would use it, but with my red car I have one of those vacuum blocks, so I just feed it from here. This will feed my vacuum block. And then I went to a dash 10, oh gosh, 5/8 barb? I don't remember. Whatever your hose size is for your booster, so that'll feed my booster. I actually have used one of these for the booster before, these little MPTs, and let's just say my brakes do kind of feel spongy. And after putting this together and going and looking at my blue car, how I did it, I'd say you definitely want to use your dash 12 fitting here. Over here on the PPF manifold, I have an E46 throttle body, I believe it is, out of a 4.8 liter. This is plug and play with MS43, so it's great, but it's 3.5 inches instead of 3. And I ordered the PPF manifold with the flange on it that bolts this right up to it. So no weird drilling out holes or adapter plate or anything like that. It's really one of the cleanest things I've done in a long time. And then my buddy, who also extended my charge pipe over here, welded this quick disconnect clamp. They're called that, but if you ever dealt with these, they're a freaking nightmare. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but they're not quick. They just kind of look clean, I guess you could say. Better than a coupling, rubber silicone coupling. But he welded that up for me. He welded it on the inside all the way around because it's a nightmare in there and you get really close to this plastic, but super clean. And then I have my MAF down here, PEMAS MAF, like I use on everything. Ended up using a banjo on the back of this rail because it was such a tight fit back here. This is a banjo from, I believe Nuke sells them. Pretty clean, very nice. It allows you to get in an even tighter spot than the 90 I had on there. So that worked out really good. This all worked out super clean. Using the pencil coils on a 2-bolt coil pack valve cover, it works. And to get them out, you have to pull just as hard. So if anyone's wondering on that little trick there, it works. This is super weird. I put a battery in it. Awesome. It's cool, you know, it's like this little step. Oh yeah, I got the cool mirror in here too. Is it even good? Yeah, it's still good. Oh, I still got the jellyfish though. I had that, I remember that now, chasing me. I haven't gave up after 3 years. We're gonna flick this on and make a massive mess. No fuel pump. That's not good. I put a different relay in it. You know, my gauges aren't even alive. It wasn't the relay either. The ECU was unplugged. And I did it on purpose, I think. It shows it has no fuel in it. That must be a bad gauge. I don't think it has no fuel in it. But all my gauges do still work, which is sweet because if you guys know anything about these Innovate gauges, they ain't cheap. So maybe this works now because it's probably on the same. Yep. Watch out, Duke. Watch out, Duke. Oh God. Oh God. Yep. Oh. Well, it didn't have much fuel in it, apparently. So that being said, when I put all new gas in this, it should have a higher ratio of good fuel versus the bad. All right, I'm gonna turn that off before I burn that pump up. All right, so I think I'm ready to try to crank this thing. It's not tuned, has a tune on it for an M52, but it was dual Vanos, so that's like the biggest difference. It doesn't have fuel in it either. I won't even turn the fuel pump on. I just want to crank it and get this oil running through it because this engine's been sitting forever. I did put a bunch of assembly lube on the cams and stuff like that. It was a stock engine, didn't take them out. I just rotated everything with assembly lube. It has 8 quarts of oil in it. Playing it safe because the angle of this is a lot different than factory, and I have the stock pan, and I also have the stock pickup tube. So, you know, 8 quarts sounds good. Dipstick, about useless, actually, because the pan is sitting way down further on this driver's side than it's supposed to. It's not flat anymore. So it's always gonna show too full, I think. I don't even know this battery, if it's gonna even crank this car. It's kind of an extra battery. Another thing is, yeah, we're in neutral. It shouldn't launch off this into the garage. This battery's just too tired, but that is a good sign. So this clapper is about to help jumpstart this clapper, which you can see I never even put the fill panel in here. So that's cool. I did put 4 gallons in it of gas. The only thing is, the tune on it, once again, is still for the old setup. I won't run the pump yet. I just want to try to get this thing to crank. I don't like that. Well, that did nothing. Come on now. Oh my goodness. Jules at B Racing just sent me, well, his new flasher and a tune for this car, actually for this setup. Ignore the background, I know it's pretty sick, but so we are going to put this tune on here, and I think the main reason it wouldn't actually start and run was because this car had an idle control valve. I kind of forgot about that. It had an idle control valve before, and now it don't, because I'm going to try the whole delete thing and let the auto body do the job. So we're going to try that, but my battery's dead, so I'm going to have to keep jumping it off of my blue car. And there's nothing better than putting a tune on your car when you have like a dead battery, so you know, just keep chancing it. All right, have her revving the car up. So it's close enough to temp. It idles really good. I'm kind of surprised. I don't know, I guess I took long enough on it to where it should run right. Give it some revs. I don't have an AFR gauge because I don't have the exhaust on the car. I just have a downpipe. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate the real ones for sticking with me with this terrible upload schedule that I've developed. I apologize. It's probably not going to get better. We'll see what happens. But next video, I'm not going to say we're driving this thing. I don't really know. Okay, I don't know yet. But it will be a 4-inch exhaust being made in that from the downpipe all the way back. I do have to do an input seal on the M3 diff because I almost forgot about that and it leaked all the fluid out, and I would totally blow the thing up if I drove it. So I do need to do an input seal, bleed the brakes. What else do I have that I wasn't looking forward to? I got to do the lines for the wastegate and the MAC valves. That's another one.